Iceland's journey to melt away anger. In the heart of a freezing kingdom, where ice palaces sparkled and snowy forests rustled, there lived a young girl named Icelyn. With snow-white hair that flowed down like a frozen river and icy blue eyes that glimmered with the wonder of winter, Icelyn was known for her courage. At just 7 years old, she could ice skate across the kingdom's frozen lakes with the elegance of a swan. Her laughter echoed through the air like the sound of ice tapping together, and every snow rabbit she met became a friend. Yet, beneath the happiness and the glimmer, Icelyn often found herself caught up in a swirl of emotions that made her hands squeeze into little balls. Sometimes, she would get so upset that her words would come out like a storm, cold and harsh. It was like a whirlpool inside her, turning her gentle heart cold, making playtime less cheerful. One snowy day, as Icelyn was making a snowman with her buddy Rodney, she felt that familiar coldness of temper flare up within her. Rodney, with his coal-black buttons and carrot nose, gave the coziest hugs and always knew just the right thing to say. A locket full of melodies. Hands are for helping, not hurting, Rodney reminded her with a soft smile, his twig arms stretched out. Remember, Icelyn, there are lots of us who feel the same blizzard inside. Icelyn nodded, a little cloud of breath flying out as she let out a long breath. I wish I didn't get so upset, she thought to herself, her heart wanting quiet. Rodney tapped her hand with his own snowy one. I once knew a little reindeer who felt just like you, but he learned to trot through his worries. You can too, Rodney said, winking. Icelyn's eyes danced with hope. She pictured herself, not with squeezed fists, but with open hands ready to play and share. Maybe there's a way to skate through this blizzard inside me, she mused, her heart fluttering like snowflakes on the breeze. As they spun and giggled on the ice, something caught Icelyn's attention. It was a locket, tiny and sparkling, half hidden in the snow. Inside, a tune hummed, soft and calming like a bedtime song of the northern lights. Rodney looked over her shoulder. What's this? He asked, his voice full of wonder. Icelyn opened the locket wider, and a mysterious message showed up in icy writing. To find the icicle that soothes fiery moods, one must journey with a heart as clean as snow. Another message twinkled next to it, hinting at a terrible cold that could freeze the kingdom's happiness if the blizzard inside wasn't made gentle. The writing was like a puzzle, playful and secretive. It says we must find the Enchanted Icicle, Icelyn read out loud, her voice shaking with thrill. It could help everyone, and maybe it could help me too. Rodney's eyes sparkled like new snow under sunlight. Then let's do it, Icelyn. We'll find it together. The adventure begins. Their adventure started with the first light of morning, the sky coloring a picture of soft pinks and bright oranges. They wrapped up in cloaks as blue as the deepest ocean and set off, their shoes crunching in the snow. Isn't this a fantastic adventure we're on, Rodney? Icelyn asked, her heart buzzing like a bee. It's the best, Icelyn, and I've got a joke for you. Why don't mountains get chilly in winter? Rodney laughed. Why? Icelyn giggled, curious. Because they wear snow caps. Rodney burst into laughter, and Icelyn joined in, her laughter ringing through the freezing air. As they walked, Icelyn's mind wandered to her stormy emotions. Can I really find the icicle and become as peaceful as the snowflakes? She wondered, her heart making a hopeful beat, guided by the locket's melody. The path took them through a snowy forest, where the trees stood like quiet sentinels. The locket around Icelyn's neck started to glow, its tune growing louder. It led them to a secret track, barely seen under the thick snow carpet. "Look, Rodney, the locket is showing us the way," Icelyn shouted, her voice full of surprise. And with the snowflake locket playing its quiet song, Icelyn and Rodney wandered deeper into the magical kingdom, eager to uncover the charm that would ease the toughest blizzards within. Lessons on the ice. As the tune of the snowflake locket filled the air, Icelyn and Rodney entered the heart of the snowy forest, where the trees wore thick coats of white. The ground crunched underfoot, and frosty breaths mixed with the cold winter air. The locket's light was their guide, showing them a path that only those with clean hearts could see. Their first stop was a space where the snow lay smooth, like a carpet laid by the clouds. In the middle was a frozen pond, crystal clear and as still as glass. Icelyn's eyes lit up with excitement. "Look, Rodney, it's perfect for skating," she said, her heart swelling with joy. As they tied their skates, a rabbit family hopped over, their noses quivering with interest. "Hi, pals!" Rodney greeted them with a chuckle. "Want to join us on the ice?" But as Icelyn took her first slide, her skate hit a hidden bump and she fell, landing on the icy surface. Her face turned pink with annoyance, and for a moment, the old blizzard inside her began to whirl. "I'm so awkward!" she called out, squeezing her fists tight. Rodney skated beside her, his twig hand stretched out. "Remember, Icelyn," he whispered, "every day I pick calm over temper." Icelyn breathed in deep, her fists relaxing. "I choose to be nice," she said, her voice becoming softer. The rabbits gathered around her, their brown eyes showing understanding. With a gentle nudge from Rodney, Icelyn stood and slid across the pond again, her moves as even as the music from the locket. The rabbits clapped, and Icelyn giggled, the warmth of friendship making her annoyance disappear. The wisdom of the snow owls. Leaving the pond, the locket's light led them toward the forest's heart. The trees shared secrets, and the snow underfoot seemed to glint with support. Their next spot was a place where icicles hung like diamonds from branches. A group of snow owls perched high, their feathers fluffed against the cold. Icelyn and Rodney looked up in admiration at the wise old birds. One owl, with feathers as white as the moon, turned its head and hooted gently. "To find the icicle you're after, you must first learn to talk. Without a bawl or a yell," it said, its voice echoing in the quiet place. Icelyn nodded, thinking of the happy words. "I can use my words to share how I feel," she spoke clearly. Suddenly, a wind whooshed through, and the owls flew off, leaving behind a feather that shone with a soft silver light. Icelyn caught it, and it turned into sparkles, showing them further into the forest. The locket around Icelyn's neck twinkled in response, its song getting stronger. "We're close, Rodney," Icelyn said, resolve in her step. The polar bear cub and the frosty giant. They tracked the sparkles to a cave where the walls gleamed with ice gems. Inside, they discovered a polar bear cub, its legs stuck under a heavy rock. Icelyn's heart hurt for the cub. "We must help him," she said, rushing forward. As she tried to move the rock, her anger sparked, her muscles stiff with effort. But then she heard the locket's melody, peaceful and soothing. "Hands are for helping, not hurting," she reminded herself, her voice bouncing in the cave. With Rodney's help, they freed the cub, who snuggled Icelyn to say thank you. She felt a burst of pride and happiness, her heart as light as a snowflake. "I care for others' feelings," she whispered, a grin unfurling on her face. The locket's light now beat like a heart, leading them to the edge of the forest, where the snow stopped at a field of ice flowers, each shining like a star. Blizzard, the frosty giant, stood in the middle. His cold stare made Icelyn shiver. "You shall not get the icicle!" he roared, his voice booming. "Your temper will freeze the happiness of this kingdom." Iceland felt the old blizzard in her surge, but she stood strong. "I am peaceful," she declared, her voice as clear as the winter sky. Blizzard yelled, and a wave of cold rushed across the field. But Iceland's will didn't waver. She reached for the locket, and as she did, it changed into a bright ball of light. The light wrapped around Blizzard, and his icy outside started to melt off, showing a kind snow giant with a grin as warm as sunshine. "You've shown me the heat of a clean heart," he said, his voice becoming gentle. Iceland glowed with pride. "I can fix problems without causing hurt," she said, her spirits flying high. As the giant moved aside, a road opened up, leading to a glade where the magical icicle hung from a tree, its surface reflecting the light ball. Iceland reached for it, feeling calmness flood through her. The icicle melted in her palm, turning into a gentle river that flowed through the kingdom, easing all fiery moods and spreading stillness. Iceland looked at the locket, now its usual shape, and grinned. "We did it, Rodney," she said, her eyes filled with happiness, returning home with a heart of peace. A soft wind took them to the forest's edge, where the next piece of their adventure was waiting. As the sun sank below the horizon, painting the sky with shades of purple and gold, Iceland and Rodney traveled home, their hearts light and steps quick. The quest was finished, and the kingdom felt warmer and kinder. With each step, the snow whispered, "Good job." Iceland turned to Rodney, a sparkle in her eye. "I've got a joke for you, Rodney. What does a cloud wear under his raincoat?" Rodney's eyes shone with curiosity. "I don't know, Iceland." "What?" "Thunderpants." Iceland chuckled, and Rodney's laugh joined hers, traveling through the fresh night air. As they reached home, the ice castle stood in front of them, its towers catching the last sun rays like a symbol of hope. The freezing gates opened with a friendly creak, and the snowflakes twirled around them like little stars of joy. The kingdom seemed to hum a quiet tune of peace, a tune that Iceland now held in her heart. "I'm not the same, Rodney," Iceland said, her words soft. "It feels like the blizzard inside me has become gentle." Rodney grinned, his coal eyes bright. "You found your peace, Iceland, and look, the kingdom is happy with you." Iceland's chest swelled with pride, and she realized she had indeed changed. "I used to get upset so quickly, but now I see there's another way," she thought. "My hands can build and hug and share, and my words can be as soft as snow." Iceland, the peacemaker. The next day, Iceland joined the children in the kingdom for a game of snowball tag. As she raced and laughed, a small piece of her old self tried to sneak back, a little whisper of annoyance when she missed. But she remembered the locket's tune, the happy words, and the warmth of her new peace. "I choose to be nice," she said to herself, and with a careful throw, she sent a fluffy snowball floating, laughter flowing from her. The kids cheered, and Iceland felt a joy she had never known. She was no longer the stormy Iceland. She was Iceland, the peacemaker, the pal. Life in the kingdom grew with new, cheerful moments. Iceland and Rodney made the biggest snow fort the kingdom had seen, with towers reaching the clouds and walls as thick as Rodney's hugs. They filled the fortress with chuckles and tales, and every heart felt lighter and brighter. One chilly morning, Iceland met a young boy named Kai, whose hands were always bald, his forehead wrinkled. She knelt in front of him, her icy blue eyes gentle. "I know it seems like you have a storm inside," she said, but I've learned that we can melt the cold with niceness. Kai looked up, his temper ebbing away. How? He asked, sounding small. Icelyn took his hand. Let's make a snowman together. I'll show you how we can use our hands for joy, not fights. As they shaped the snow, Chuckles took the place of stiffness, and Kai's hands opened, ready to create, to play, to be nice. Icelyn explained the happy words to him, speaking as softly as the snowfall. Hands are for helping, not hurting, she said, and hearts are for loving. Years passed, and Icelyn grew into a young woman with a heart as warm as summer. She pictured Rodney close by, his murmurs of cheer on the breeze. She dreamed of days ahead, where her hands would make not just snowmen, but a kingdom where every child knew the power of calm. Icelyn's dreams soared like the northern lights. One day, I'll show others the snowflakes dance, the quiet in the whirlpool, she thought. And perhaps I'll even skate around the world, sharing the serenity's tune that now dwells in me.